the first year of our marriage, we lived together. And I was working on my master's in public health while he was working. And then in March, I got accepted to medical school. So, and in Nashville, Tennessee, and we were thinking, okay, we just started our marriage, we moved in together. He was just starting or in his first year and a half of his new job, and we were thinking, okay, we're going to have to go back to this long distance thing again. So I actually moved to Nashville by myself and started. It couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 months before we couldn't take it anymore. So my husband, he looked for a job, and luckily he was able to find one at my hospital, doing computers, and we were able to live together again. So he moved all the way to Nashville so that we could be together. I feel like the stress of medical school, it was getting to be straining on the marriage, and we just needed to be together. And part of it had to do with my age. I guess I was 22. Was I? Yeah. Anyway, that's bad that I don't remember how old I was, but I must have been, oh yeah. So I was 22 and still immature, and I think we needed that time together so that we could mature together. He is on another level of maturity, and I think we needed to live together so that I could catch up in a way and actually figure out what it is to be a wife as opposed to a long distance wife. Long distance, it's actually easier because you're just living your day to day. You're talking to each other every day, but you don't have to worry about what the other person is doing. But I think living together, you find out what makes the other person tick. And we didn't really have that. We had the 3 to 4 years, the 3 years of long distance, and then the 9 months to a year of living together. So I think we just needed to be together. At least the plan was at least for my first year of medical school. So he moved to Nashville, got a job, and we were together. And I think that was such a good decision because that first year, that first semester especially, was so stressful. I kept doing bad on my exams. I didn't even know if I should be in medical school. Everything was just not working out. I didn't know if I would progress to the next year. So it was just stressful, and I can't imagine doing that by myself. The other people who were married or in relationships and were doing long distance, I feel like they were on a different level. They were definitely more mature and more focused than I was, but I needed that support system there with me because I didn't have any family down there. So that was a good decision that we made. So fast forward to after my second year, and I needed to take it's so funny. I needed to take a break from medical school. So luckily, he was able to get a job at the old place he worked at, and we moved back to Delaware, and that's when I finished my master's. So we were together for 3 years straight. Then it was time for me to come back and finish my 3rd and 4th year, and we made the decision that he would not come back to Nashville with me, that he would stay in Delaware. So the last 2 years of medical school, I was by myself, and I feel like my mindset at that point, we had been married for a few years now, and my mindset, my goal, I was so focused and so determined that the long distance wasn't really an issue for me when I came back. because I was halfway through medical school. I knew that I had to finish, so we just worked it out to where we could see each other maybe once a month. And it started getting to me when I was in my 4th year, when I was having health issues and things going on, and I just needed somebody there as a support system. And I came in with the class that had just graduated that May, so all of my friends, they were gone. They were already in residency, so I didn't have too many people that I could reach out to at that time. My husband wasn't there. I didn't have any family in Nashville. But the good thing about 4th year is that you pretty much make your own schedule. So I opted to not do any away rotations. That way I could use that free time and be in Delaware with my husband. So I actually studied for step 3 for 2 months, and I spent those 2 months at home. And I feel like during 4th year I was home in Delaware more often, and that's how we kind of coped with the long distance. But 4th year, man, it was hard because there were just things going on that I needed support with. And then after 4th year, I was done with all my coursework in February. So from February until residency started, I was home all the time. So it was nice to see everything come to an end, but I also knew that no matter which residency program I got into, we would have to do long distance again. I didn't know how long it would be, whether it was 1 year or 4 years, but it was just the reality that we would have to go through the long distance thing just a little bit longer. So that was something that was difficult to deal with, because I thought, well, I'm graduating from medical school. I eventually want to have a family. How are we going to establish ourselves in terms of building a family when we're not together? And it's a real concern. Even though you're very busy in residency, some people want to start having families and not wait until after residency. 4 years is a very long time, so that's just something that I was considering that we hadn't really talked about, but it was just something to consider. How are we going to make this work? But of course, you can't think about things for too long, because it always works out, thank God. That is the story, and that brings us to this point now where we're only 3 hours apart. We see each other almost every weekend, and it is beautiful. I love it. It's great. I don't feel the distance at all, but I think those early years of pain and going through different situations together really helped us build our relationship from the beginning. I think that we have a special bond because we did the long distance. You really have to trust that other person, that they're not doing things that is disrespectful to you, and that they are respecting the relationship, that they are cherishing the relationship. It's so much trust when you're doing long distance. And of course, well, we had our times that were harder than others. That's just a different topic for another day. I don't want to delve into it, but we had, of course, every marriage has their issues, but if you can come together at the end of the day and look that person in the eye, and you trust that person, you give your whole heart to that person, and it's not just one person doing that, it's both of you. You can look each other in the face and say, I trust you with my heart, with my life. That's the foundation of the relationship. And also, having God at the center is so critical for us, because no matter what disagreements we had, at least we had that unity.